I'm excited for this month for the Cardinals.
Me too,
It's
man.
going to be fun.
I think it's going to be one of the most interesting months in years. Dead serious.
Yeah.
I really do.
And you're right, though, Jimmy. The guys in the locker room, like, okay, you love your teammates, you know that. But look, if you're kind of like a bubble guy or a fringe, whatever, you're evaluating every situation. You are. You love your teammates, but you're like, what if they trade him? I'll have this spot. What if this happens? Or what if I get traded? Or you're always thinking about yourself. Like, you love your teammates, but man, you're sitting in a locker room when this is coming up here soon. You're probably like, going through all the different situations.
And the Cardinals are bad, so how many guys want to go to a contender?
I was just thinking.
Think about that. That's never happened in the last
exciting for some of the
15
guys.
years. There are guys who are going to be excited to go somewhere else.
I know.
I really believe, though, that of the guys that are, Arenado, Goldschmidt, the guys who aren't going anywhere, probably think, all right, let's get through this year. Next year we're going to be better. Like, I don't think that they think, like maybe you do, that the Cardinals can't be good next year. But I was also thinking back to when the Cardinals were right around the trade deadline but good and having a chance. I remember, like, most guys were like, no, we don't need a trade. We believe in each other here. And I remember Skip Schumacher saying, no, these are the areas we need to improve.
Yeah, exactly.
Skip Schumacher, didn't mess around. He's like, no, we need to get better in these areas. He was pretty honest about it.
What do you think is going to happen, Charlie? If you're a betting man,
I am.
who do you think's gone?
I think a lot of people are gone.
Like who?
Well, at minimum, I would say Flaherty or Montgomery, probably Hicks, probably DeYoung, Stratton, guys like that, at minimum. Just
Tyler?
pending free agents, probably Tyler. I mean, is Tyler ever going to play a Major League game again
Yes.
for the Cardinals?
I don't know about the Cardinals, but
You don't think he needs a couple games under his belt to make
I
sure
look at
everybody knows
all-
he's healthy?
if you look at the Cardinals, the All-Star game where there's other outfielders that they had, superstars.
Oh, God.
Like who?
It's a bad look.
Yeah, it is.
So, right, I mean, there's no question it's a bad look. So if you're going to have to deal outfielders, you probably want to deal a guy who you're giving a lot of chances to. So at least you have plausible deniability. Like, I still think Tyler O'Neill is going to be a legitimate big leaguer. But if the Cardinals dealt him and he goes elsewhere and suddenly is healthy, they could say, he's never healthy here. We had to deal him.
Yeah.
If you deal one of the other guys, that might come back to bite you. I also wonder if Jack Flaherty, first of all, I don't think Hicks wants to be traded, okay, which I'm not saying that precludes him from being traded, but I think there's some guys that definitely would like an opportunity elsewhere. I don't know if he's one of them. I want to hear from Jack. Like, do you want to be traded? Like, he hasn't. I think he might. I think if I were betting, I would say he does, but maybe not. Like, I would think Hicks was like, I want to be traded. I don't think he does. There's some guys might want to stay that you think, would definitely want a change of scenery.
Man, I don't. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
Well, I'm just wondering, we're talking about guys who are going to be free agents, so a very good chance they're not back anyway. Just to me, why would you want to play for a bad team for the last couple months when you could go to a contender, maybe go on a nice run in October, and enhance your value in free agency? I would definitely want to leave.
Yeah.
If I'm 2.5 months away from free agency, why would I want to stay? I'm just saying, me personally, I would not want to
No,
stay.
I get it. I get it. But there's some guys also feel comfortable with an organization, the coaches, maybe their teammates, or maybe they like playing here. I'm not saying that that's everyone, but I mean, if you're going to trade pitchers, you're probably not going to resign, right? Flaherty and Montgomery. Montgomery's coming off the hammy. Apparently, everything's okay with that. But right, that's if you're doing it, then those two have to go. Then who's going to start the rest of the games? If you don't think they're coming
Burleson,
back,
Hudson,
I don't know.
Woodford.
Like, there is an element of, Mo had said, we're still going to try to win, but if you're also going to try to get the most for next year, then you're going to have to trade two of your starting pitchers. Who's going to start them games?
I'm not worried about that. I'm looking at 2024, baby.
you're dang right.
Give some guys some shots.
Yeah. Call
Whoever.
somebody up.
Give the last shot to whoever's healthy, but Hudson, Woodford, whoever at AAA you want to give a look to. Let Walker figure out the outfield. If Gorman's here, let him play every game.
that play he
against
made?
lefties. I did. Great play.
Walker?
Yeah.
Yeah. thought he was going to sub-blocks his shoulder on that bad boy. He's scooting.
He's an athlete.
Scooting. He is an athlete.
Like, he'll figure it out. If they want him in the outfield, he'll become a decent outfielder. He was just kind of learning on the job. Oh, you're a right shoulder. Oh, Hayes again.
Flaherty looked pretty good, though, didn't he? Stocks
Flaherty, when healthy,
it's good.
is a front-of-the-rotation guy. I've said it all along.
It's good.
He hadn't been healthy. And I did hear on the broadcast, which is kind of a rights holder thing, if you take 3 of his starts
Oh, man.
Just the
out
one,
of the
though.
mix.
If you take just the one out, the one horrible one,
Yeah.
his ERA would be probably, what, 3.5?
Yeah.
Thereabout, yeah.
But, I mean, just look when he's right at his stuff. He's a front-of-the-rotation guy. He
good.
is. That's why the Cardinals gambled that he would be that all season long, and he wasn't because he had injuries and had to kind of find it on the fly. So he wasn't, but you can see when he's healthy, he has that kind of stuff.
You want to hear from him? Oh, go ahead, Charlie.
Well, no, if Ohtani doesn't get dealt, which I don't think he will, you can make the case that Jack Flaherty might be the best arm on the market with Stroman. Stroman's good, but I mean, at the top of their game, Flaherty can be that good.
Pretty good.
So Flaherty, I know his numbers aren't eye-popping. There ain't a lot of great pitchers that are going to be dealt.
What do you think he's going to get? What do you think he's going to sign for?
I would sign for 1 year if I'm him.
Yeah.
I would try to reset after a good year.
You want to hear from him? Let's see what he had to say.
Did a much better job of getting ahead, it felt like. I don't know what the numbers were, but, good things happen when you get ahead, and a lot of things that I've been trying to work on and get better throughout the year, from getting ahead and fastball command, and did a lot better job of that today.
When you look at your last 3 starts, what would you say is your biggest takeaway?
I think just fastball command has gotten a lot better, and so has getting ahead and, then also making pitches when I need to. Even the hit to Dom, like I've made a good pitch. Dom's a good player. One of those guys, he's gonna do a good job, and he just, kind of hit the ball where we weren't. And but as I feel like I made a good pitch even there, kind of navigating that inning. Made a pitch to get the punch out to Meneses, and then you're 1 pitch away. So I just did a better job of that.
Jack, do days like that give you guys belief that you got a second half run in you? Good starting pitching, a lot of hits, power, good bullpen.
We've had a lot of days like that. It's just one day at a time, and putting a couple of them together, being a little bit, just being consistent. But we've had a bunch of days like that. We've had good pitching and good hitting.
His velocity has been
He didn't
good.
say yes,
He didn't
though.
say yes, though.
He did not say yes.
Yeah,
Think about it. Well, think about it. All right, you need consistent starting pitching. All right, we all get that.
yeah.
But your 2 best pitchers, you're going to have to trade.
Well, Mozeliak already said they're looking at 2024. Jack should have said that. Well, didn't our president of baseball operations just say we're looking towards 2024? We're not trying to make a run.
But they're still trying to win this year.
Not really. And it's fine. Nobody's mad about it.
No, man. Everybody's kind of calmed down a little bit.
Tank at this point. Don't be like the Blues. Don't half-ass it and get the 10th pick.
Exactly.
Just lose, baby. Get the 4th pick.
Lose, baby, lose.
But
Yeah,
if
and then
you're-
in March be talking about, hey, can we get Connor Bedard? We're kind of too good for that at this point.
They should have just lost a lot more games.
But if
100%.
if you're going to go in on the improving for next year, you have to trade both, right? Montgomery and Flaherty.
That's fine.
That makes sense.
Who you not trading, Charlie?
Who am I not trading?
Who you not trading?
I think
Gorman?
this is the most interesting question. You asked the most interesting
know.
question about the Cardinals. Do you know why? So again,
There you go.
I like to monitor what folks are saying. I like to monitor trade rumors. I like to monitor what people on Twitter
Hell yeah.
are saying. And I've heard a lot of people say that essentially every position player is untouchable. Everybody feels like you can't trade Donovan. Everybody feels like you can't trade Nootbaar. You can't trade Goldschmidt. You can't trade Arenado. Well, you have a lot of position players that you like. You have no pitching. Don't get me wrong. I don't really want to trade any of those guys. If it was a perfect situation, I wouldn't want to trade any of those guys. But you have a bunch of good position players. You got young guys, Gorman, Walker, Mason Wynn on the way. Tell me the pitcher you're excited about. Tink Hence is probably... Don't you think Tink Hence makes his Major League debut maybe next year at the end
Tinky?
in a relief role? But, I mean, tell me in the next couple years who you're super excited about to be a starting pitcher for the Cardinals.
Lance Lynn.
Okay, but he's about my age, and he's not here
ERA
yet.
is 6.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I like Lars Nootbaar. I like Brendan Donovan. I like Tommy Edman. Love Goldschmidt. Love Arenado. All these guys can't be untouchable. We can't do the fantasy trade. Hey, if we trade O'Neal and Carlson, if we trade all the guys
Luke
we
and
don't
Baker.
want, Luke and Baker, we're not going to get a good pitcher. You're going to have to trade somebody good or a couple guys who are good.
You didn't answer my question.
I think that's the great question right there. I think you probably trade one of Edman or Donovan because they're similar players. Edman's older.
Who would you want more? Who would you want to trade? Who would you want to trade less?
It really depends on when. If the Cardinals, I will trust the Cardinals here. If the Cardinals are penciling Mason Wynn in as their shortstop, even though you like Tommy Edman as a center fielder, I'd probably trade Tommy Edman because Brendan Donovan is younger.
Jimmy?
And you have more control.
Who's untouchable to you, Jimmy the Cat
Well, I can
Hayes?
tell you right now, Goldie and Arenado are not going to be traded. Okay. And there's, he said some interview, he said he might be, he wasn't sure. As a player, when you know you're not going to be traded, you're not going to announce that. So it doesn't seem like you're shielded.
The Heyman interview? Article.
You're going to not come out and say, hey, I know I'm not being traded while my rest of my team is, on the block. You're not going to say that. But I don't think Goldie and Arenado not a chance in HE double hockey sticks, either one of those.
And Hale.
I would keep those two, Walker and Gorman, and understanding that if you want something, as Charlie put it, you have to give up something.
Yes.
If you want something, you have to give up something of value. I don't want to see anyone traded, but those are the four I would probably take off the board at this point. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, Donovan is sensational. I agree with Charlie.
Good game last night.
Donovan and Edman are kind of overlapping in what they bring to the table, and it seems like Donovan might be the better guy.
It's pretty good.
Try to hold on to him. I don't want to see Nootbaar go, but you have to give up something if you want to get something, especially when it comes to pitching that's under control. You ain't going to get that for nothing. So those are the four.
Who's got more value? Nootbaar, Edman, or Donovan?
Well, Nootbaar and Edman. So Nootbaar and Donovan are younger, so you have more years of control.
Okay.
Tommy Edman, he got about 2 to 3 years of control. I got to look it up. See, I think Gorman is the interesting guy.
18 home runs?
I wouldn't not trade Gorman. You know what I'm saying? I'm just wondering. I mean, he has a lot of value. He's a guy that you could get a really good starting pitcher in return. I wouldn't say Nolan Gorman is untouchable. Just because here, I don't love him playing second base. You're already not pitching him. You're not hitting him against lefties. So I don't know that Nolan Gorman is can't miss. And I say that because 3 years from now, could you regret trading Brendan Donovan more than trading Nolan Gorman? I think that's a fair question.
Sure.
So I'm not saying I 100% disagree with Kat. I don't know if Gorman is untouchable to me. If you can get, remember, nobody's going to get mad if you trade Nolan Gorman to whoever. Let's say the Seattle Mariners. If you get Logan Gilbert or somebody of that ilk, and he becomes a really good starting pitcher for you for the next 4 years, people won't bitch and complain if Nolan Gorman has a good career somewhere else. Now, they will if the pitcher that comes back in return is terrible. You notice nobody ever complains about the Montgomery trade? It's a pretty fair trade. I know that Bader's been banged up here and there, but you traded a Gold Glove center fielder for a really good starting pitcher. Nobody bitches about that deal. It was pretty fair for both sides. It's okay to make a fair trade that helps both teams.
And both guys are almost identical in that Montgomery's on the block now because his contract's up, and New York with the Yankees haven't gone to Bader there. He's going to hit the free agent market. He could be a trade piece too. So they're kind of the same.
So Gorman, value-wise, Gorman, then Nootbaar, then Donovan.
I don't know.
Edman,
I think those
O'Neal.
three. I think those three have a ton of value. The top three you mentioned are young.
Yeah.
They're controllable. A lot of teams want them. I would put those three in the same bucket.
Okay.
And I don't even know.
The good bucket.
The fourth bucket.
You can also say, like this guy leads of those threes at the top. I wouldn't even know. I'm just saying Gorman for what the Cardinals need. They need some lefty power. That's the guy. No one's untouchable as far as I know from the Cardinals outside of Goldie and Arenado. But for me, the upside with the power from Gorman, especially being a lefty hitter, that's a guy I'd want to keep. Not that I love Donovan too. I would love to keep them all, but like
Got great hair.
and he's also like the perfect teammate. Like, everybody loves that guy. Like, he checks every single
Yep.
Can you play him a different, bunch of play? Yep.
He's a true Cardinal.
Will he have some power that you didn't? Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Take
Cole,
a good at bat every? Yep.
what the heck do you want to see happen, Cole? What's on your mind? What do you want to see with this Cardinal team? Do you want chaos? Do you want everybody gone?
Dude.
You want Goldie, Arenado, Gonzo, completely different team? Like, what's on your mind?
Well, RFR root for radio, so if that stuff happened, that would
like
give
your
us
attitude.
content for months.
I like your attitude.
Now, I have been on the trade Goldschmidt train, and if they didn't, that wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world to me. Trading Arenado, I know some people have been trying to create that rumor. That doesn't make any sense to me because he's got 4 years left on his deal. So I don't even understand what the genesis of that one is. But go to all these guys who are upcoming free agents. Try to get a gauge on which ones of them want to re-sign. And if you don't get a solid answer from them, then assume that they're walking. So that's what I would do. And we've mentioned the 5 of them. It's not Waino because he's going to retire, but Montgomery, Flaherty, Stratton, Hicks.
He's having a dang good year. The heck you mean?
Didn't he announce before the season that this was going to be his final year?
He just had
He was-
injection.
What are you talking about?
He just had injections.
The heck you mean?
All right. What did they pump him with?
No, we're kidding.
No.
I know.
Hey, he's gonna spin.
he's-
He's gonna spin 4 good starts at the end of the year and do another deal.
Yes, he is.
By the way, just
$20 million.
Just so you know how it works. Like, there's certain guys you can. If you're John Mozeliak, you could go to Jack. Hey, how do you feel about this? What? But a lot of guys would be like, talk to my agent, and the agent's never going to give you a straight answer because he's always. So it's not as easy as finding out the lay of the land because the middleman is the agent who's always trying to, rightfully so, put his player in the best position.
Well, I mean, try to extend them like now before we even get to free agency if possible. Because if they get to free agency, then you're competing against 29 other teams, and that's a dangerous position to be in.
If you're a player, like if you're Montgomery, let's just take him, okay? And you're headed for a trade, probably, and free agency, and you're on a roll. You just had a little hamstring deal, right? But you're on a roll. I mean, there's a lot of teams. Why would you negotiate against yourself now with the team you're on when you can hit the market and say, who wants me?
Who wants it?
Exactly.
Who wants it?
No, I'm saying.
So I'm
you're
assuming
saying do
that-
it now. Like if you go to Montgomery and you go, hey Jordan, what if we work out something? You give a, you know what he would probably say, or his agent would. Too late.
Probably.
Right.
And if that's the answer, but from the Cardinals' perspective, you at least got to try, or why not? And if you don't get a good answer, which I agree with you probably won't, because for a variety of reasons. One, because these guys feel like they would rather negotiate with 30 teams instead of one.
Well, yeah, baby.
But there
It's like-
are some guys who might. Like you've seen other guys give hometown discounts, whatever. You might find one, but you probably won't.
Which means you got to trade those.
You got one girl at the bar, or you go to another bar and there's 30 of them to choose from. What would you do?
I
How
think
hot's the girl?
give myself some.
They're all
No,
They're
the
all
one girl.
sevens.
So
They're
there's
all
1
7
7
to 8.
versus
They're all
37.
They're all 7 to 8.
What about personality, Cam? That
Well, it
matters.
doesn't matter. Well, I don't know.
The one girl's pretty ugly because she's the third worst team in the National League.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's an interesting question.
yeah.
This reminds me of the Jason Hayward comment, which didn't mean the Cardinals were bad, but when he said aging core at the time, he was kind of right. I know that he went over there and his speech won them the World Series. That wasn't a great contract for the Cubs, but he was right. So if you're a baseball player, you're not just looking for the most money, which most of them are. You're also looking at a place you can win. Let's be honest with ourselves. These guys have all played with each other for the last couple of years. Do you think the Cardinals, can you guarantee me the Cardinals are going to be pretty good next year?
No.
Okay, I think in past years you could say the Cardinals are almost always going to be pretty good. 90 wins. Where is the pitching for the Cardinals? Tell me where it is.
That's what they're working on now. I mean, that's why you said it was going to be really exciting, and I agree with you. I mean, they got their work cut out for them. They have a rotation where they're going to have, 3 spots to fill. I still think they have a chance. They know what they have to do, and they have a pretty good track record of putting good teams out there, save this year. That's why it's so dismal. Yeah, I think they have a shot at being good next year too, but they got to make moves. They got to beef up their pitching.
They also have to win trades versus every other team in baseball and give up the best package. And this is a group that has been, I think it's fair to say, I don't know if afraid is the right word, but I think since the Arozarena deal and I think since the Ozuna deal, they are very gun shy. So Right now, John Mozeliak knows he's getting destroyed for the last 5 years because of Alcantara and Gallen and Rosarena and Adolis Garcia. And now he has a bunch of young guys, and he has to figure out who he should move. And some of these guys are going to be studs elsewhere. But again, that's my whole point about if you get a Logan Gilbert or somebody really good, nobody's going to complain if Logan Gilbert's a Cardinal for 4 or 5 years and is really good. But so is Gorman somewhere else.
Yeah.
So is Donovan. People won't complain about that. It's if you give away a stud and get nothing in return.
Yeah, I like those trades.
That's why I think Tyler O'Neill, you have plausible deniability. Like, I still believe in him, even though I bought that stock and it didn't do well this year based on injury. I still think he's going to be a good player. But if you're the Cardinals, and I'm not saying he has tremendous value right now, you want to sell high. It's not a high point for him. But if he goes elsewhere and becomes really good, you can go, what do you want? We gave him a lot of chances.
And I hate to say this. People get mad at me. But if you don't get true value for Tyler O'Neill, it still makes more sense to just bet on him next year to have his once every 4-year healthy season. Right? I'm not saying that I should count on that. But you don't trade Tyler O'Neill for nothing. And the only reason I say that is you never know if he could replicate 2021. There's still value of that happening.
I think he will somewhere.
He'll do that again in the next 4 years, and it's fine if it's somewhere else. My whole point is I don't think you trade him for nothing. It's kind of like the argument with a lot of folks, just DFA Paul DeYoung.
Yeah.
Well, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
You're already paying him. Tyler O'Neill, you don't trade him for a bucket of Big League Chew.
It's pretty good, though.
It's pretty good.
I like Big League too.
Oh, man.
It's very good. Okay, so maybe $2.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying if you still think that next year can be that year, even if it isn't, you don't trade him for nothing.
They wanted to DFA Hicks too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
If you listen to the bomb throwers on Twitter or the text line, they want to DFA everyone.
Yeah.
Certainly me at the top of the
I wanted to DFA Hicks. I'll put myself out there.
It's okay.
No,
it's
now,
okay, baby.
See, just pretend like you never said it.
I didn't say that.
No,
But
that's
the
not-
Cardinals said it. They literally came out and said, we are going to take him out of high leverage spots. I think sometimes we do this revisionist history. Jordan Hicks was awful. He figured it out. I guess it's because he moved his foot 1 inch to the side.
I know.
But, he was
I noticed.
terrible. Like, the question of him being sent to the minors or something happening was 100% valid. He was terrible. He couldn't even throw a strike that one
There's a
out.
difference between DFA, which means you're done, and if he does figure out, you get nothing in return. And I've told you this before. I know other people haven't reported it. The moving on the rubber wasn't the main thing. Hicks will tell you if you ever talk to him.
That's why no one believes that.
Is that he had to change his whole approach, and they gave him, this is what you need to do between appearances. This is what you need to fine-tune what you have outside of moving on the rubber. And he took it more seriously. I think there's an element of maturity that's kicked in for him, which I think plays a big part of where he is now compared to where he was, where things were going terribly.
Get them in. 855-282-8255. Cray chimes in and goes, Cards are competing with the division for the first time in a while. Reds and Pirates have young teams, and that will only get better. Going to have to open up that wallet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the question for next year is how much money you're going to spend on pitching and free agency. At least I think that's the big one for me. Well, ideally.
You have good money coming off the books. You have Waino coming off the books. I know that a good amount of that was deferred, but if you look, Flaherty's making 5.4. What was Monty making? 10. I think it's more important that you make good trades. This is going to be another fun argument to have. We're all going to do this, including me, this offseason. We want the Cardinals to spend. And then we spent the last 5 years complaining about, by the way, rightfully so, every dollar they've spent in free agency, essentially, besides Albert Pujols and a couple of those Miles Michaelis, KK, Sun Wan-Oh, we complain about every big contract they spend. And still yet, we're going to say, let's spend this winter. And we complain about Fowler, Leak. We're already complaining about Contreras.
Yeah.
You got to try.
Cecil.
You got to sign somebody.
But I'm saying I would rather have them make aggressive trades now than bank on them winning a free agent bid for a 31-year-old pitcher.
They're going to be buyers at the deadline is what you're saying.
No, I'm saying make good trades. You have a bunch of good position players. John Mozeliak, you've made some good trades. You've made some bad trades. Make some good trades right now.
Yeah, I get that, man. Let's see here. Sorry, I was laughing a little bit because Cray Langford chimed in and goes, did anyone see the monster dunks from BG What a show.
Yeah.
I did. Go ahead and play that real quick.
You will see this weekend than that. There it is! BG is back!
That was sick.
BG is
Was
back.
that a travel?
No, she dribbled the ball, but people were on Twitter were trying to make it sound like she did.
Euro step.
She's 6'8"?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you see the real most impressive thing by far?
Sabrina.
Oh,
Sabrina
three.
hitting 25 of 27 shots in a three-point
that.
contest. That's pretty. I know the ball's a little smaller, but still,
Pretty dang good.
that's pretty impressitive.
I mean, the dunk
And she
wasn't
missed her
impressive.
first ball.
That was impressive.
The dunk was impressive?
It was not.
Okay.
And if you think
Can you
that-
dunk?
If I was 6'8",
Can you dunk?
if I was 6'8",
A woman?
what do you think her vertical is? 3 inches? She's 6'8". They were going crazy for that. She barely got it in.
She's a woman.
I'm just saying.
What is a woman, Charlie?
What is a woman? God, this is the fourth time I've
Katanji.
done this.
What's happening over there?
I don't know. Headphones. Keep knocking my
Jeez,
headphones
Pete.
out. What the heck's wrong with me? Man, am I being delusional right now?
Yes.
Is there not a chance that even by the end of August, the Cardinals have won a bunch of games and suddenly we've got a chance for an exciting 2-month run? John Boy in Indiana.
No. Because they're going to trade away some of their players, bring up some young guys, and prepare for next year.
What if they're better? What if Libator finds it? What if Michael McGreevy finds it?
Yes, McGreevy. Who
What
else?
if, what if the
we
rest of
expecting
what
that?
if the rest of to
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy? It's Planet Fitness. Now through July 19th, you can join for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 convenient locations worldwide and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. Whether you're a newbie or a gym pro, you belong in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, July 19th. See Home Club for details.
me the more likely scenario is that the Cardinals kind of stabilize even with the trades and they're just playing okay, and the rest of the NL Central implodes.
Yeah.
Now mathematically they have to play each other, so even a major implosion might not be enough for them to make a run, but you can't in the Central. I don't think you really count anyone out. Is it likely? No.
But shouldn't we expect, if we're putting our trust in John Mozeliak to have a good deadline, shouldn't we expect to get at least one good young starting pitcher in return that arguably is better or the same as Flaherty and Montgomery, just a younger version?
Yes, that's
If
one.
that doesn't happen, I'm very worried about 2024.
Oh, and I think they will.
I hope so.
I mean, my chance of them at least getting one young, good
Stud.
pitcher that's front part of the rotation that's under control for next year as well, I would say that's likely to happen. I don't know what that's going to cost, but the cost is going to be pretty steep. And I'll say this again. I just interviewed him, so I love him. But they got nothing to lose if you get like Lance Lynn on a one-year deal, end of the rotation guy. Give him Waino's spot for next year. A fired-up
love
Lance Lynn might be worth a look.
So he has an
His ERA
expensive
is-
option, correct?
Yeah, but
Couldn't you decline
they're-
that?
They're not picking it up.
That's what I'm saying. But would a team that signs him want to pick that up for next year? Isn't that a lot? I'm trying to look it up.
Oh, you mean that he has one more year left on his contract?
Doesn't
Is
he
that
have an
what you're saying?
option?
I think it's a team option, if I'm not mistaken.
So wouldn't the White Sox just decline that, and then the Cardinals sign him just as a regular-ass free agent?
But if you're talking about signing him right now, correct?
I'm talking about trading for him.
Okay, so then the team that traded for Lance Lynn could, in theory, they would inherit that option.
Oh, okay. Now I know what you mean.
I'm just saying it might make
I
more
thought he
sense
meant
to
just
sign him.
Sign him in free agency.
Well, it might make more sense to sign him in the offseason.
Yeah, that's true.
Is Jordan Walker a true first baseman or a right fielder? What position was he playing when he was drafted? Pete Walt.
third base.
Third base, okay. Well, he's a third baseman. He can do everything. Can we just trade the Redbirds for the Yankees? Both are in last place, but the Yankees have more championships. Who do you think texted that in?
Hockey Bob.
Yep. Isn't that a Hockey Bob text right
Do you
there?
know that in New
Isn't
York, there's more venom going toward them from their fan base than in St. Louis? I mean,
Yeah,
people want
probably.
them to get rid of the whole roster outside.
What's their payroll look like?
Yeah.
It's got to be
Huge.
gigantic.
Lance Lynn, just so y'all know,
Yeah.
2-year option. Excuse me, I can't speak today. 2-year contract. So the guaranteed amount was $38 million. He has a club option for $18 million for 2024 with the $1 million buyout. So I don't think Lance Lynn is worth $18 million for next year. I would think that. Well, yeah, I would think that he's going to get a deal probably for maybe $12 million. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to pick that option up. Is what I'm saying.
18 schmil. Ooh. I agree with Nate's comments on High Noon the other day. Newt is overrated. He did get a lot of attention, man. He got a lot of attention. I think he's a pretty solid player, but he's certainly more popular than his skill set.
I think he's fine. I've never bought into him being one of the best young talents on this team, but I think he's all right.
What makes him intriguing, first of all, is he's got power,
He's friends
but he
with
walks
Ohtani.
a lot, too. And granted, he got off to a terrible start. I think he hit 100 through the first month and a half of the season. Then he had some injury things. But in terms of his skill set, what makes him intriguing is, first of all, he's a very aggressive defensive outfielder. I don't know what the metrics are, but I would say he's a solid defensive outfielder who's an energy guy. And when you say energy guy, it's not a tangible thing, but I think everyone would agree. But it's the fact that he can drive the ball, hits the ball hard hit ball rate is really good, but he also walks a lot.
Do we know for a fact that Goldie and Arenado do not want to be traded to a contender, Mr. Arizona?
Well, Arenado has a track record of. If you're Nolan Arenado, by the way, I'm not saying he's going to be traded, but you want to win a World Series. If I'm Nolan Arenado, I'm not super excited about the Cardinals' future right now. I'm not saying they're going to be horrible. Do the Cardinals look like they're even close to winning a World Series?
No.
Without pitching, hell no.
But even if they add a couple good pitchers, they're kind of in the spot that we've talked about the last couple years, which is a 90-win team that probably wins the Central a lot. That's why I think we've moved the goal line as a fan base and media a couple months ago when we're saying, okay, maybe they'll get in. Well, before the season started, we kind of said they always get in. We're looking for a run. We're looking for a run in the postseason.
So you're saying they add two solid starters that we all agree would be. If
I
they
think
do
that's going to be really hard.
Then I do think they're in the mix because I think offensively we're starting to see them scratching the surface now of what they can be. But if you had solid starting pitch, to me that's where the whole thing collapses.
Yeah.
If you don't have enough starting pitching, and to me, you need three solid starters. Like the teams that have three good solid starters, those teams are different because most teams don't have three quality stars backed by an offense that I think we all would agree when the Cardinals are right and healthy should be really good offensively. We kind of felt that this year, and outside of their risks, and stretches being awful for some reason or getting shut out by, a bullpen start by some team, I do think they're good offensively, and I do think if that's the key is you need to shore up the starting rotation.
And to me, that comes in free agency because to your point, Charlie, you were talking about, well, what if you acquire a young arm talent? Well, it depends on what kind of arm talent you're getting because if you're getting a guy who might be in AAA this season and is coming in, he might be a major league arm next year, but I don't know if he's going to be one of your top-of-the-line starters. So I think that the top half of the rotation that you're looking for is more likely to come in free agency, at least for 2024 specifically, than via trade.
And by the way, Lars Nootbaar, his WAR is the same as Nolan Gorman's, and he's played in 21 fewer games this year. That's the thing. Nolan Gorman has been fine at second base. Here's the thing with Walker. I love Walker. Walker is a really bad outfielder right now. I know he made a nice catch, but Lars Nootbaar is a very good overall baseball player that brings value on both sides of the ball. I know Brendan Donovan right now is having the throwing issues, but he's the same, and he can play everywhere. So Lars Nootbaar has tremendous value. That's why when we heard in the offseason about teams wanting the guys like Nootbaar and Brendan Donovan, and you could have potentially had a Sean Murphy, but you had to probably trade two really good players, whether it was Nootbaar or Donovan or Gorman. Like, that's what it takes to get a catcher who's an absolute stud.
I blame this season on Brad Thompson, a.k.a. Ned Flanders from The Simpsons. Happy talk Brad, Tommy and Callie. He is a little happy talky.
I like Brad.
So do I. Get over the Yachty stats. 12 other catchers have won the World Series since Yachty won one. The problems are at the top of the organization. Okay.
Who said anything about Yachty?
I don't know. He keeps coming in hot on. Cam, the Reds just called up another top prospect. Where are all the Cardinals' big prospects at?
Thank you, Cardinal fans, for your continued support.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, they got Walker up. Hopefully win next year.
I think Wynn's going to be up by the end of this year.
I think you should get a taste this year for sure.
Especially if they start dealing a bunch of guys at the deadline. Why not have Mason Wynn
Well, you
come
don't
up
want
and
his
get ready?
major league contract to start.
No, but I mean, a September call-up.
I'm just kidding. I love that kid from what I see the video. I've talked to him. He seems like he's the real deal. I don't know until he gets, and a prospect is a prospect until you do it. Now, he's got a lot of tools at his disposal. I mean, his arm is great. He could pitch probably if he wanted to. He's got speed, all the things. But, he's hitting, 260 as a minor leaguer? What if he's a 230 hitter for the first couple years of his major league career? I'm just saying, I hope that's the guy. But you never know what a prospect is until they do it.
If I was part owner, I said turn him up a little bit.
Well, what's Nolan
People are
Gorman
bitching
hitting
again
now?
about?
Isn't he hitting 230?
I'm sorry. I thought you were telling me to turn
No,
the.
turn Jimmy up
With a lot of power.
That's my point.
I
It's
got
not the batting average number. Like if Mason Wynn hits some doubles, hits some triples, hits a couple bombs, steals some bases. Again, you don't want him to hit 230. But last year, I think he hit 280. He had an amazing year last year because he slugged. Now, obviously, he's moved up to AAA. He hasn't been unbelievable. He hasn't been bad. But if he hits doubles and 10 homers and steals bases, plays good defense, there's not a lot of shortstops with Mason Wynn's skill set.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, he might not be ready to go, when they want him to be ready to go. I love that guy. I hope they do bring him up. I want to watch him.
I want to watch him, too.
I also want to see Luke and Baker hit a 500-foot homer, and I might not get the chance.
Yeah. When we got Maddie on the line?
Yep.
What up, Maddie? What's going on, baby?
What's up, boyo?
How was Saturday night?
Saturday night. What did I do Saturday?
Man, didn't you go to Olive Oak with your lovely wife and your daddy for his birthday?
I went last night.
Oh.
And I was going to pump it up.
Oh, last night.
Pump it up. How was your weekend? If you don't remember talking to me yesterday.
Oh, God. Oh.
Was that a late night call from Cam?
No, I went to bed at 6:30 last night. I told you that. Unless I woke up in the middle of the night and called Maddie for some odd reason.
Did you talk on the phone and not remember it?
I don't know.
Did you guys talk on the phone, Maddie?
I'm going to look at the timestamps and see where that happened at. But, we talked pretty early yesterday. But, still, we talked. It was yesterday. It's all good. No worries.
How was it?
Olive Oak was fantastic. I want to get to that, but I want to talk to Kat first. If we don't mind. I've got something for each of us here. Real quick. Kat, good to hear from you, my friend. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for filling in.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
No, thank you very much. We solved the problem of the squeaky chair and just, moved that around the week. That was a big development while you were gone, in case you were wondering.
People were bitching.
They located the squeaky one?
It's always mine because I move around a lot, and I got this. It's very uncomfortable, the green one, but it doesn't squeak. So I suck it up for the boys. That's what I do, Jimmy.
Teammate.
Yeah. So, as we sat, there was like this Zapruder film. We just pointed around and looked like, which one is it? And there it is. Fine, we figured it out. But I hope it was a good trip for you, my friend. And I was listening. I'm going to get back to Olive Oak again, Cam. I was listening to what we were just saying about Lars Nootbaar, and I got a question. Devil's advocate, hypothetical, however you want to do it. Do we want to look at the Lars Nootbaar emergence kind of like the Dylan Carlson saga and say, hey, if you trade him, maybe you're going to get what you didn't end up getting from Dylan Carlson because the stock is high, at least in the opinion and opinion of War and the opinion of the club.
So the way I said this earlier, is to get something, you have to give something. And that doesn't mean I'm advocating trading anyone, because I like these guys. They're fun to deal with on a personal level. But if you want to get something that will help you next year and perhaps the year after that, you are going to have to give something up. Nootbaar has value for all the things I said, for all the things Charlie said. So, yes, he's a viable trade chip if you're looking to upgrade your pitching, which is their number one need right now.
I agree completely. And I think that going into this deadline, you can focus on the Montgomerys, you can focus on the Flahertys and all of that. Those are kind of the easy things to look at. Jordan Hicks even as well. However, I think that if you really want to win this deadline, you're going to have to part with somebody that you don't want to, whatever winning the deadline means. And I would think that Nootbaar or even Gorman would be the type of person that's at the top part of that list. So I don't think that you can just wave the white flag here at the trade deadline and then not take on any pain if you want to step forward next year.
Agreed. And I would put Donovan on that list, too. No one wants to see that guy dealt. But if you're trying to get something of big value, you have to give up big value.
Yeah, and Donovan is going to be the cheaper of the. If I'm another team and I'm looking at the Cardinals roster and say, hey, you've got a glut of utility guys, you got a lot of guys that can do a lot of different things, Donovan would be the one that I would be more inclined to talk about because obviously Edman's having some issues right now. Edman's going to cost money sooner. Gorman, I think if I'm the Cardinals, however, on the other side, that's the one where you got to really give me something back, and it's going to have to be controllable years. Not just 24 either. So they've got options. But right now, the race is, can you overtake the Pirates? Can you get in the fourth place so you're not in fifth place with the moves that you make right now? That's all I'm looking at right now. I'm not even looking at the top. It's step by step. Can you overtake the Pirates and hope that the Cubs fall off so at least you're not worse than them? I don't know. Maybe that's where we're at this year.
And I know a lot of us, everybody kind of falls in love with the home run. And I think it's easy to fall in love with Nolan Gorman. I think Nolan Gorman's going to be a really good player. And sometimes if you see somebody hit, let's say, 35 homers elsewhere, it's easier to look at that number and say, oh, we shouldn't have traded that guy. Brendan Donovan has a higher WAR than both the guys we mentioned, Gorman and Newpar. He has a higher OPS plus than both the guys we mentioned, talking about Brendan Donovan. And he won a Gold Glove as a utility man in his first year in the big leagues. Brendan Donovan. So it's a tough question because I think of the guys we mentioned, let's say Gorman, Newpar, Donovan. Would you guys all agree that probably one of those guys is gone?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so John Mozeliak has a tough job because I think all three of those guys are probably going to be pretty good, regardless with the Cardinals or somewhere else. But if you get somebody good in return, I wonder if Nolan Gorman's going to be that guy who he might hit 38 homers, but if he's not great defensively, if he is going to hit 220, 230 for his career, I'm not sure that's going to happen, but Lars Nootbaar can play defense. Brendan Donovan can play everywhere. And I think Lars Nootbaar healthy is going to hit maybe 20, 25 homers. Donovan probably not so much, but still he brings tremendous value for everything he does.
I think the most valuable guy is probably right now Donovan. Nootbaar close behind. I think Gorman, the Cardinals see something that they want to have in their lineup, and again, a lefty bat, power, which is not easy to find, and maybe you don't want a guy that hits 218 but hits 30 homers. I think he's better than that, but I would say Donovan might be your most valuable chip right now.
I think that it really truly depends on what your outlook is for the team and what you're trying to get done. If you're trying to really entertain maybe the highest yield of offers that come back, it's going to be Donovan or it's going to be Nootbaar, because I think those are the two players that everybody's going to be really – that make more sense and can really help those teams out. However, I still think that if you're thinking about it from the Cardinals aspect and you're building a lineup that's going to, be here over the next 4 or 5 years, if there's one thing we know that they love controllable years, and for good reason. But Gorman is the one that still fits in and makes the most sense in the heart of the lineup long term if it's not about trading something to make a quick turnaround. They're just in a terrible position right now because it's like they've got to now make moves to make up for how bad this year was for next year. The numbers are staying up. People are still going to the games. That's going on. But that ain't going to last forever if they're this bad again next year.
True.
And they got to pay attention to that.
And I think look, I know it's fun to say that DeWitt doesn't care as long as people show up. It's not true. Like, these guys want to win, too.
They want to win, of course.
That's their jobs. Yes. Like, you don't – like, Mo told me it's my butt. It's my butt out there. I want to win.
When you're an owner of a team, like, you're competing against the other owners, too. Like, those guys, like, they're on a pedestal. And they're
making money?
Making money, being good, winning championships.
When money.
When they all walk into a meeting together and all around, they're like, DeWitt's a big dog. Like,
and he's also a baseball guy.
He's a
Comes from a baseball
guy. Yes.
It's not like they
want to win.
Yes,
of course.
They want to make money. It's a business. I get that, but they also want to win.
Yeah.
And they're not. Look, they made some mistakes. I'm not saying they haven't, but they're not dummies, and they're not. They're just not dumb guys. Some things didn't work out. You can question a lot of the moves. I'm not saying that. They understand what they have to do to be in a position to win next year.
Okay, so real quick. Now, I'm not going to use this word, and I know you didn't either. You said they're not dummies. So I don't like to criticize people personally in that way. So instead of using the word dumb, you could say that the Cardinals front office, though, in the last 5 years What's the proper word that's not mean then? They haven't been smart.
Stupid?
Well, no, I'm saying they're not dummies. They're not.
Yeah.
I would never say that. I would never say.
They made a lot of mistakes.
But I'm saying you could make the case that the Cardinals front office has run the department in the last 5 years in an unintelligent way. They have made a lot of wrong decisions.
There you go.
They have. They really have.
In
evaluating talent.
They made mistakes, and like at the time, a lot of those moves weren't considered unintelligent. They just didn't work out. And yes, that's on them to be smarter than we are. I get all
That's the whole point.
I get that.
They're paid for that.
But they've made mistakes. I wouldn't say that that's like a lot of the moves in hindsight didn't work out. At the time, seemed like legitimate moves. And there's always going to be criticism over every deal. I'm just saying that these guys know what they're doing, and over the last 5 years, they've made more than their share of mistakes. That doesn't mean that they're incapable of building the team for next year.
Maddie, how was your dinner? What did you get, and how much coin did you spend?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, the dinner was incredible. Shout out to Olive and Oak, Chrissy Pondoff, everybody hooked it up. So come in. It was my dad's birthday, we talked about last week. So went out there, cruised around, did our thing, got a bottle of wine. Get there, getting ready to order stuff. He's like, oh, no, there's some apps that have been picked for you that are coming out.
Oh,
so
God.
We had a steak tartare. We had some oysters. We had some octopus. That was just courtesy of the kindness of our good friend Chris Prondoff. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that in a major way. But I had a ribeye. Tiffany had a pork shoulder. My dad had a salmon. They brought out more desserts than my waistline needs to see. It was a grade A experience, first of all, in a major way. The place is packed. The kid's dog's over in the corner with his lady and his folks. It was
You say hey to him?
It was an awesome day.
You say hey to kids?
Say what?
You say hey to kids?
No, man, we were both doing our family thing. You were moving around. I wasn't doing that.
I get you.
You're teammates. You're radio teammates.
I know, man. Who you, Maddie?
You're not a fan?
Don't say hey to him. Now he thinks you're being an ass.
I saw kids a couple weeks ago over in Clayton, and we stopped and talked for a good little while. It's all good. When you're with your people, when I'm with my people, it's all good. No worries about it. We'll see each other.
Pork shoulder. She got a pork shoulder. Damn. That sounds damn good, man. They got good food, dude. You know when those appetizers come out, though, you're like, hell yeah, Chrissy. They got some good appetizers. He wants to show those off. They're the real deal there.
It was awesome. And now, I think that, the wife's got the itch. She looked at the menu, saw about 5 other things. So I think we'll be back over that way regularly. So, yeah, man, but I appreciate that. That was an awesome
Well, that's
time.
what Chrissy does that for. He brings you there, he hooks you up, and then now you get addicted. And now that's all you want to go to.
Now we're hooked. Now it's like New Jack City, too. He's Nino Brown.
Yeah, dude.
Steak tartare, and I'll be back in the thing. Hey, last thing before I let you boys get back to it. What we talked about this a little bit last week, and we got through it. Is there a win that happens through this little game of moving the pieces around this roster? Is there a win, or is there still the opportunity that you go into this trade deadline and there's some way that they pop up there and they say, well, the move just wasn't there, so we're going to finish it out this way? Is there any chance that happens?
There's always
That's
that
a good
chance.
question, actually.
I think the difference this year, again, if you're kind of reading the folks that I think know what they're talking about, you got some big dog teams that have a lot of needs that match up with the Cardinals. And I'm talking Yankees and Red Sox. Everybody needs starters. Everybody needs bullpen. The Cardinals have a lot of assets to move. They really do. They got a lot of guys, a lot of different positions. They have to do something.
They're going to do something. It may not be the move that we're all expecting. And here's my thing, too. I thought about this a lot. Maybe it's a dumb premise, but I've had dumb premises before. But I was thinking, if you're the Cardinals and you want to beef up your starting rotation for next year with controllable guys, the teams that you're going to deal with all want pitching now. And they probably don't we'll take your rental and give up a guy under control. I don't see that. What I see is you're looking for a third party, a 3-way deal. For me to get what we hope gets done, where they beef up that rotation with guys that have some control, a 3-way deal to me makes sense. You deal with a team like the Yankees who would want Flaherty, and then you flip a piece to another team that has a starting pitcher under control that they're willing to part with for whatever piece you get. To me, the only way this really works via trade, with the way it seems right now, the way the market is set up at this point, we don't know how it's going to unfold. You're going to have to do a 3-way deal.
I think what you could see, though, also happening is you could see a team like the Red Sox or the Yankees that need multiple parts. And if you put 2 to 3 rentals together, even the Cardinals did this. I know that Quintana and Chris Stratton aren't the names that excite everybody, but they got 2 guys. They got a pure rental in Quintana last year, and they got a year and a half of Stratton. You could, in theory, trade Flaherty, Hicks, and DeYoung to the Red Sox. They have needs. Those are 3 expiring deals. You could, in theory, trade Carlson. You could trade Montgomery back to the Yankees or a Flaherty with Hicks. I mean, there are teams that need 2 or 3.
You have a specific need. You need a starter that has a huge upside, that is already, a middle front of the rotation guy that's controllable. And that's why I'm thinking, to me, with the big dogs that have these needs aren't going to give you that. You probably have to go third party and do a 3-way deal, which has been done, 1,000 times.
The Mariners have those guys.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll say this, and I'll jump out the way. Is that after the last 2 starts that Jack Flaherty made, I would be moving him before his time came back around in the rotation so that you can sell as high as you possibly can on him. He's looked fantastic. People have got to have their eyes on it. Jump the market, get him out there, and find out what you can get for that so that you don't end up with your pockets turned inside out after the next couple weeks go by. So, hey, everybody's sounding good. Good to hear the A squad back together. I'm heading down to Florida for 4 or 5 days.
You be careful, boy.
I'll be back.
Be careful.
I'll be back. I promise I will be back. And I'm gonna stay the hell away from them Gators.
And the water.
I'll talk to you.
See you, home.
See you, buddy.
Thanks.
Hey,
so, to me, though, there's a risk, too. Like, if Flaherty's pitching great, you never know what that next start. I want him to start again. You need this guy.
Yeah.
Because I believe he'll have another good start.
Yeah, he's on it right now.